here. I am live. I want to welcome you. I would say to my channel, but this isn't YouTube. But welcome to my page. This is Instagram. I want to thank all of those for joining in, whether you're at work, home, running errands, or on your lunch break. I just want to thank you for tuning in with me. Prior to this video, my baby was asleep. Here, you want some apple juice? But as expected with children, they will wake up, you know. So this segment today, we're talking about all things parenting. I have a list of topics in here that we're going to discuss because, as in all topics of similar interest, if we can go on talking about hours and hours on it. So I did this kind of last minute just to make sure that I scratched the surface of all the topics that I wanted to talk about, and whatever I don't get to discuss today, we can also, you know, have an ongoing conversation about that. So she went to sleep around 10:30 this morning, and she just woke up prior to me recording this video. So that was about a good 1.5 hour nap. Thank you for joining. So what we want to do first is check in, kind of like highs and lows, but just see how your week went. And you know, it's Monday. Happy Monday to everybody. We get a fresh start to the new week. And what happened during the week, because you know, a lot of things happened. Time passed. But last Saturday, my family had a function event similar to Thanksgiving in the way that they were cooking. So it was a lot of food that was there, and the lifestyle that I chose was to eat everything that's living, right? So consuming no animal product. So I decided, because I was thinking about this for a very long time, I was like, you know what, I can't wait to eat this, that, and third, because you know, with food and traditions, you know, it comes memories. So I was eating it for the sake of remembering certain things, just remembering how I felt when I ate it, what memories come to mind when eating it, and just a whole bunch of stuff, and just experimenting with myself in short. But that video is not for this, but that is something that happened to me during this week. And let's dive into the parenting talk. So baby, you want to pick one? Oh, she has one already. Let's see what it is that you have. My baby is way ahead of the game. Ooh, tips. So, do you have any tips for me, as I am a first mom parenting alone for the very first time? Oh, I can't really see you. Let's join you in here. Come here, my co-star. You have another one here too. We'll do that one next, okay? But she's in her high chair. You can barely see her. Let's see if I can arrange this really quick. Tips. Do you have any tips for me? I wrote down a few tips that I have here. Let me just fix this real quick. I have a board set up to keep me on track, kind of like a to-do list. Ooh, okay. Almost in? Almost in. Alright, there we go. We're semi in. For both of us. Maybe if I move this. Alright, we're not doing anymore. So tips. Do you have any tips for the parents, the new moms, the babies like yourself? So be productive while the baby sleeps. That's a tip that I have for everybody. And what that means is, like, when the baby's sleeping, if you got to shower, do your hair, cook, do something in that time while the baby is sleeping. Something that you normally hear is sleep when the baby is sleeping, right? That is something that you should do, but it doesn't always work out like that. It doesn't always happen. So I'm going to call that, like, it's not a myth, but you will hear this tip a lot, but it doesn't always work out in your favor. And another tip that I have written down on this paper is sleep when the baby, not that. Eat when the baby's eating. Right before this video, I was breastfeeding her, and at the same time, I had prepared food for myself, so we're both eating at the same time. It keeps us on the same schedule, we're both satisfied, and get things rolling that way. So thank you for choosing the tips, and if you have any tips, please feel free to comment. I am an open book, and I look forward to learning. You know, this is a new journey for me, so I'm down for learning, I'm open to learning, and I'm open to listening to your comments as well. Next up, we have pumping. It's probably coming out backwards because this is a front-facing camera. But pumping. We'll talk about pumping. And I have a few pointers on here, which is like, if you pump. I personally do not pump yet. I I didn't purchase any pump, but I got pumps through insurance, and I say pumps with an S because it's plural. One person bought me a breast pump for my baby shower. So that was the first breast pump that I got, and then I received 2 more breast pumps. So I have a total of 3, and I have not used one yet. I tried to use the first breast pump that I got when I first got it, but it was a little discouraging because, you know, the baby had to be less than a week old, and there wasn't anything coming out at first. But what I didn't know then, what I know now, is pumping is, well, the way the milk supply works, it's on demand, right? So in the beginning stages, you may not have that breast milk readily available because it wasn't stimulated. So when your milk starts to flow, first of all, in the very beginning, the baby's going to suck. The baby may not be receiving any milk. But from what I was told from my doula's nurse, at-home nurse, visiting nurse, lactation consultants, multiple people in my network that has informed me of this and reiterated the same thing, that it's a supply and demand. So you may not have any milk the first day. The baby's most important, what they get from the breast milk is colostrum, and that's what they will receive the first 3 days or so after the baby's born. So the baby will be sucking, and they may not be getting any milk right away, but not to be discouraged because the next day you'll get more. What the baby sucks today, it will be available tomorrow. So as long as you keep that going, you will always have breast milk. So as far as pumping, I hear there's a certain schedule that you can follow to keep you on track with things. And I have a question here, like, when did you start breast pumping? I would recommend starting as soon as possible. You know, I wish I wouldn't have got discouraged in the beginning. And it's also something that you have to set time aside to do. So I also have on here increasing supply, because that was something that discouraged me from continued breast pumping, is because I wasn't seeing any milk or very little milk in the beginning. But one way to naturally increase your breast supply, you hear all of these milky mamas and different things that you can use to increase your milk supply, when the common ingredient in all of those is just water. So as long as you increase your water intake, you will always have a flow of breast milk. You will increase your supply of breast milk. Alright, I made apple juice for baby, and I did that by boiling water with apples in it, and the concentrated water tastes like apple juice. So what's next, baby? You want to pick another one for mama? You want to pick another one? You can't see his smiley. Yes, can you pick one for mama? Want to sip the tea? Yeah. Take one out for mommy. Go ahead. Alright, just one. Just one. Okay, you got 3. The one that you had at first is there. So let's see what you got. Routine. Oh, you have another one. We'll do that one next. Routine. Routine is very important. Routine. I live by routine. It's something that you do consistently, that yourself and the baby will get used to, and then this is something that you will live on. So I have a few words on here, and it's very helpful to have a routine. For example, when we wake up, she goes straight to the breast. That's something that she knows. That's something that I know. It's a routine that we have established. Let's say after she takes a bath, she knows that, you know, what's coming next is to be fed and then sleep. You know, stuff like this establishes a routine, and it builds, doesn't it? It builds trust in the baby to, she knows what to expect, she knows what's coming next, and it also helps relieve the mom of having so many things to do. You know, having a routine for the baby sets apart something out the way so that you can plan for whatever it is that you have. Alright, I prepared this for baby because, you know, after sleeping, part of a routine is that she'll wake up and she'll want to eat. So I breastfed her already. So now I'm going to give her some solids. Huh? And she loves sweet potato. It's a little on the warmer side. Too warm? This one. Alright. Let's see what you have next, Mama. You don't want your juice? Breastfeeding, my favorite topic. So there's breastfeeding. It's an attachment between the both of us, is it not? It comforts her in knowing that I'm here to supply whatever it is that she needs, and it gives me the satisfaction that she knows that I am the only person that can provide this for her as her mama. Now, of course, other women with breast milk can supply for her as well, but I just never done that. I have tried it. She didn't accept it, but I have done it. So with breastfeeding, breastfeeding is done whenever the baby needs it. It's something that I can just make happen for her instantly, right? So no matter where we are, whether it's in public or private, if my baby demonstrates that she wants breast milk, which she'll do by grabbing my shirt, something that you just saw right now, I don't mind doing it in public. I feel very comfortably breastfeeding her anywhere because what I'm worrying about is satisfying the needs of my baby, not satisfying the opinions of others. So that's something that was very, very easy for me without being said. So just to be on the topic of conversation, would you breastfeed your child in public or private? And if you do not breastfeed in public, what are your reasons why? Do you oppose to people breastfeeding in public, or are you open to it? And another note that I have here under the topic of breastfeeding is if you are breastfeeding, how long should you breastfeed for? Now, originally I had in my mind that I was going to breastfeed for the first 2 years. I've learned, or it's been said by others, medical professionals, that the baby receives all that they need from breast milk within the first year of breastfeeding. So we're 10 months in, the milk supply is still there, almost to a year, and I can say that I can see myself winding down after a year to begin pumping. Not begin, because I should just begin the process now actually, but I can see myself not putting her on my boob so much, but having bottles readily available for her. But it becomes complicated as well because breast milk is not like formula, right? Breast milk is more fresh. So if I'm excuse me, if I'm out with her, the breast milk, it will be warm once it comes out, right? But if I refrigerate it to preserve it, it's going to get cold. Now to get it tempered back to warm again, I have to bring with me like a bottle warmer, which is not a problem. It's all stuff that I have, but it's just other things to keep in mind when pumping on the topic of breastfeeding. So I can see myself stop breastfeeding after a year, give her bottles. She'll still have the breast milk supply. I still have my supply going, and I'll pump for as long as I can because the milk will always be there. You can always store it. It's good in the freezer when you store breast milk. How long is it good for? 6 months. And in the refrigerator, it's freshest 3 to 5 days. But I think the frozen breast milk can last 6 months to a year. You over it? She might still be tired, I wonder. All right, you have the other topic? Or did we go through it already? Here. You want to pick another one? Pick it. You shake, I pick? What are you doing? All right, you shake, I pick. I got it. Now we are talking about corporal punishment. This is a big one. So corporal punishment is any physical punishment to a child. So, would you engage in corporal punishment or not? Personally, I would use corporal punishment as a form of discipline, right? Discipline is correcting action, a behavioral action, as opposed to beating. I wouldn't use corporal punishment to beat my child. Because I know from experience, one thing that I learned from getting beat is how to tolerate pain and how to tolerate more and more pain with the more and more beatings I got. Tells you what kind of child I was. What's up, Mama? You want the boob? Alright, let's keep this chair out of here so I can recenter myself. Here we go. What's the matter? Look, you want all this attention? Here you go. So, no corporal punishment for me. If I do decide to go that route, I would use it as a form of discipline. You know? Let's see what else notes I have here. Are you for or against corporal punishment? And I put discipline versus beating. I think we all know what a beating is. I think a beating is a way of a parent reacting instantly, you know, off of emotion. So, I told you not to do that. I'm gonna beat your butt. So that's it. Hey. So that's that. As far as discipline, you have to be stern with your action, and you do it in a way that it's loving. Like, it's not beating them. So it's building character. You gonna pick the next one, Mama? Looks like we getting through these. No? Alright, what you got in here? Let's see. Cousin Jalen said, hey, chubby cheeks. Thank you. Let's see what we got here. This says advice. Now, do you have any parental advice for me? As I am a first-time mom, single mom, new mom, everything in that category. Any advice for me? Any? You can just write it. As far as advice that I would give to myself going in, or advice that I wish I would have gotten, is breastfeed for 3 months only. And that's just like breast to baby. Do that for the first 3 months. And the reason why is that it gets you to feel that attachment that everyone talks about you get through breastfeeding. The baby gets to build and learn you. You know, you get to create that beautiful bond that's only done through breastfeeding. And then it's also easy for you, or it can be easier for you not to get so attached. 3 months, yeah. And then you begin to breast pump and then introduce the baby to the bottle a little earlier. And start pumping and introduce the bottle, I said that, and to put the baby to sleep alone. So one of the things that we have, how do I word this? We have experienced together is I will breastfeed her, right? She's exclusively breastfed, meaning that that's all I gave to her for a long period of time until she was 6 months. Then I started introducing solid foods to her, which was only fruits and vegetables. So now she started to explore a little bit more with like French fries and rice, mac and cheese at this family function. Yay! Outside of my permission, of course. But what was I talking about? Advice? Oh yeah, to put the baby to sleep alone. So because I breastfeed her, it's just easy. Like, she'll fall asleep on my boob. It's easy for us to fall asleep together. So sometimes, because I've learned very early, like the many sleeping positions that you can get engage with baby while breastfeeding, so that both of you can fall asleep. So I looked at that and I began to master it, and then I also began to sleep with baby. And it just became something that was sort of habitual. So I didn't plan on sleeping with her, it's just something that happened. We both fell asleep, you know? So when you start to detach from breastfeeding earlier, then you are allowed to put the baby asleep by her side earlier, and he or she becomes more used to that earlier on. So now she's 10 months. I'm trying to put her to sleep by herself. She'll wake up, look, whine, and just crawl to mommy. So it's going to be a harder step for me, but it's still something that's going to happen. It has to happen. My back hurt from co-sleeping. I fall asleep on my side. my boob is in her mouth, and that part is not uncomfortable, but I think it's just sleeping in one position for so long is so uncomfortable. So I noticed when I put her in her bed to sleep alone, one position that I like sleeping in is on my stomach, and that's impossible to do if I'm breastfeeding her, if I'm sleeping with her. One, because it takes up a lot of space with both of us sleeping together, and two, because she doesn't have access to my breast if I'm sleeping on my belly. So this is something that we're going to work on. I am pushing for it. Something that will help me do that, and this is just advice to myself or advice to anybody else who's going through the same thing, is the sooner you start pumping, the more she can have the breast milk available through the bottle, and she doesn't have to sleep with you. She can go to sleep with the bottle, and then boom, she's on her own. So that's something I'm actually looking forward to doing. I just have to get myself on a more so like pumping schedule, because it's like, you know, I'm a stay-at-home mom for the time being, but it's like, when do you set out time to pump and stuff? So that's another journey that I'm gonna have to go on. Looking forward to it. Baby sleeping alone, getting my back straightened out, and also when you stretch, it helps with your back pain. I just haven't been stretching, which brings us to our next topic. Random fact. I just kind of said it right now. I haven't been stretching. That's random fact. But something that I have written down out here was, at times I would be so tired, but for some reason I cannot sleep. Look at me now. Don't I look tired? I am tired. But guess what? When the baby slept, it was 10:30, right? So I'm like, okay, I could go to sleep, or I can cook. I can prepare the baby's food. I can get ready for the VCAS that's about to happen at noon, which is all things that I've done while she was sleeping. And imagine if I would have slept while the baby was slept, how many things I would have woke up to do. You know, when I would have woke up. So she's just on here for comfort right now. So that was that. And we actually moved through this pretty quickly in a timely fashion. I guess I didn't elaborate on everyone as much as I intended, or maybe there wasn't as much dialogue as I intended. But that's the thing. I don't have control over this. I'm just going through my life's journey, having fun with it, thinking on my toes, and just getting creative. So I think there's one more topic in the box. And what I'll do is just like put them all in the box and then just like probably discuss something that I haven't talked about already. But they say you save the best for last. I'm gonna pick it out for Mama. Okay, thank you. Take your hand up. Thank you. You wanna open it? Ah? Ah? Yeah? No, not that. You eat this, huh? Good girl. Alright, let's see what we have here. What do you think it is? We talked about corporal punishment. We talked about breastfeeding, pumping. No, I know what it is. We didn't talk about that yet. We talked about advice, tips, and let's just throw this back in the bin, whatever you want to call this. Yeah, right? It's a clear bin, so that we can rediscuss some topics. All right. And this last one, I'm sure, is co-sleeping. So let's just open it for confirmation. Co-sleeping. I have written on here, do or don't, and how long. Co-sleeping is something that I definitely do, that I do not want to anymore. Why? Because of the reasons that I mentioned prior to me picking up this tag. My back pain, sleeping with her, which would be co-sleeping, us sleeping together, allows me to only sleep on one side. Whether it's the left side or the right side, I'm sleeping on one side for an extended period of time. And that causes back pain for mommy. Because I'm also probably in a twisted kind of sideways motion, so that she gets my boob and it's not, I didn't want to say this, but suffocating her. And making sure that I'm sleeping comfortably for the moment and she's, you know, comfortable. So that is the reason why I want to disengage in co-sleeping. Co-sleeping is useful when you are breastfeeding. You're a new mom, you're tired, you want to make sure baby gets fed, but you also want to make sure that you are able to sleep. So co-sleeping allows for that. How long would I recommend co-sleeping? I'd say the first 3 months. And medical professionals will tell you not to sleep with the baby at all. You know, it's so dangerous, and how the baby can... I don't like to talk about things positive, but we know the risk effects of sleeping with a baby, right? And if you don't, then that's information that you can look up online at your disposal, free of charge. But I personally would encourage to co-sleep as little as possible, or if not at all. You know, feed the baby, put the baby down, the baby sleeps alone. Once the baby gets used to that, the mom is free to go. So this is something that I had to learn through experience, and it's something that I can also teach people just by sharing my experience. Wow, that went down the wrong way. So I had several hashtags under the post that I made prior to broadcasting this video, and one of them was healthy habits. And introducing fruits and vegetables to your baby at an early age is one of those healthy habits that you begin to implement in your life. So the baby gets an acquired taste for vegetables, and she gets used to eating it early. So I say she because I have a girl, but you know, if you have a boy, the she is for he. You want some yams? So just your baby in general. The earlier you introduce these fruits and vegetables to them, the better off they become, right, in life. If they have certain reactions to it. I was told by other parents not to be afraid of the reactions that the child have, because you know they have a reaction to everything. Allergies are something that is like an autoimmune defense, so it's your body's way of reacting to something foreign. So if you're introducing, let's say, a strawberry to the baby for the very first time and they have some type of reaction, that reaction is normal, because let's think about when you take your baby outside for the very first time and when they start to get these bumps on their body or like little pimples, that's also normal. Does that cause you to keep your baby inside for the remainder of their life? No. It causes you to expose them to that environment again and again until they become used to it. Similarly with foods, if your baby has a reaction the first time you give them strawberries, I guess it's also depending on what type of the reaction. I'm talking about more so a physical reaction, so they appear with like bumps or something on their skin, then the first time it's expected. You can make them more and more immune to it by introducing it to them a little more and more each time. Now, if your baby begins to choke, cough, or have some type of immune response to it, or you know it's happening from within, then I would encourage you to do it again and again and again. That's like me. If I eat shellfish, I'll feel my throat starting to close up. Now a baby can't express that. Or if they, you know, they have different ways of expressing. Let me not say that they can't express it, because babies are more intelligent than we give them credit for. So they might be scratching their throat, or you know, doing something to show you that something is bothering them. Whether we catch it or not is up to us, but they definitely have a way of communicating what is wrong with them to us. So if I eat shellfish, my throat starts to close up. If that would, like a similar reaction would have happened with the baby, I wouldn't encourage you to keep giving it to them, because you're not putting their health at risk. So just a quick tip to don't be afraid to introduce your baby to new foods, and if they have a reaction to it, don't be discouraged to not giving them that same food again, because they will get immune to it over time. Look at this forehead. Over time. You doing what mommy's doing? They will get used to it over time. Look, you bringing me to a next topic. Like, she's at the age of imitation. Everything that I do, she does. Okay? You see? So we have to be very careful with what it is that we do. Which is not a problem for me, but it's just something that you just have to keep in mind. When you say certain things, yeah, the baby may not be able to speak the way that we communicate, but they are soaking up everything that we say. So you want to be kind to your baby. One thing that my baby will learn very early on and put into practice, thank you, is how to manifest the things that she want in life. Because as you know, anything that you want, you must what? Work for it. Now, how do you manifest? That's another video. Another day, another topic. You see? I guess coughing is another sign if like the baby doesn't like a certain food. Not this one in particularly. She probably just swallows without chewing. But just ways that the baby communicate to you that they're uncomfortable with something. I have my food set aside right here, which I made yesterday, some vegan not so cheesy Alfredo pasta with spinach, and then I made cabbage today with sauteed onions, white and red, green, yellow, and what's the other color pepper? Orange pepper, and mushrooms, portobello mushroom. Portobello mushroom is so thick and sticky. It's so good. But one of the tips that's very helpful for me, for you, for everyone, is to eat when the baby's eating. We got a mouthful. What's up? This bottle, I think the nipple on this bottle is too big. That's why it's leaking on her shirt. Whoa, and let's talk about these pants. They're supposed to be long. 9 months. My baby's tall, so. Okay, they just scrunched up a little bit. But she is a tall baby, taller than average, according to the curve of babies her age. So let's dig into the box. You gonna talk about it now? You gonna pick? You gonna pick one for Mama? Let's see what you got. What you got? You picked out 2? All right. This one is advice, and what's this one? Tips. Oh, look at that. They go hand in hand. Any tips or advice for parenting new moms? Any? Ooch. Advice for parenting. Don't be so critical. This is for the parent like myself receiving advice, and then also for parents giving advice. If you want someone to be receptive of what it is that you have to say it in a way that they can receive it with no harsh intent, no malintent. For example, if I decide to feed my baby a certain way, which is only giving her fruits and vegetables, and that's what I choose to do, and you advise you should give your baby something more, you know, first of all, how am I going to receive that I should be giving my baby something more if you have no advice as to what I should be giving my baby more of. And why? Why is a very big reasoning for me. I would also like to advise, or should that be a tip? Fall under the category of tips. One tip is for myself, or doesn't fall under any category. This is just a disclaimer. This here is my very first child. She is not the first child that's walked into my life. She is the first child that I've born, my very first daughter, child of my own, right? My first. So I have a handful of experience with other people's children. I have a ton of advice as to how people should do certain things with their children. The time is now mine that whatever it is that I want to do with my child, that I wanted to do with X, Y, and Z's child, I didn't get to do because I'm not their parent, right? So allow me, as a new parent, going through this journey, to do what it is that I want to do with my baby. Okay? Got that off my chest. So let's talk about Saturday when I went to my family function. My uncle asked me, because she's beginning to eat solid foods now. And I think one thing that people have misconstrued with my baby's age and her teeth, and as to what she can eat, is just because she has all these teeth doesn't mean that she knows how to use them. For example, I'm giving her mashed potatoes in the sense that the yams are so softly baked that it can dissolve in your mouth. So baby will just swallow it instead of using her teeth. She has all these teeth but do not know how to use it yet. So I wouldn't give her foods that it will be hard for her to digest if she has to chew it a lot first. Like rice, for example, or macaroni and cheese. I don't give my baby any dairy products because I don't want her to fall under whatever it is that I fell under when I was fed. Milk, cheese, meat, etc., etc. So through experimenting with myself, I'm also experimenting with baby, seeing how she reacts to certain foods and that. She's over here choking on breast milk. It's a lot. You keep mommy supply going. You okay? Mommy need water herself. No? You don't want any water? No? Okay. You want some of this water? Yeah. You see how she demonstrates her want for certain things? So, the way she reacted to the food that she was given last Saturday was not the way she reacted. Okay, let me get straight forward to it. She was constipated for days, expressing discomfort. When she had to poop, she would stay still for long periods of times and just whining, So this is also something that she experienced when I, let's say, eat cheese. I say cheese because that's the only thing that I can witness I reacted to, and she had a reaction to as well. And she gets it through the breast milk one way or another. So whether I eat it or whether she eats it, it's something that's uncomfortable for her. And it's very selfish of me to continue eating this way, and she, it's making her uncomfortable. Now, one parent told me there's something that you can put in the anus of a baby to relieve their constipation so that I can, eat the way that I want. And it's like, if I have to go those measures, I just might as well not do it at all. So that is something that I chose and I stuck to. But other than the constipation, wow, it like really tears her rectum to the point that when she has bowel movement, there's a little bit of blood on the stool. Which again, it's like, why am I putting my baby through this suffering? Or for satisfaction of one meal? And it really doesn't do much. So other parents' comments are, you know, why doesn't your baby eat meat? Or why you don't give her this, that, or third? And to be very honest with you, I feel that we eat the way that we eat, which is consuming animal product, because of what we were shown, right? Everything is passed on through generation and generation. But the way my soul is set up is, if it doesn't sit right with me, it's something that I'm not going to do anymore, period. So, and that's what happened with food. Like, over time, when I began to get more in tune with my body and how I react to certain things, I realized what's serving me and what's not. So whatever doesn't serve me, I began to eliminate from my life, starting with food. So the first thing was red meat for me. So when I eat red meat, first of all, just the process of eating red meat, I have to chew it so many times before I can digest it. And I had this theory that if you have to chew so many times, then it's not meant to be eaten. You know, and this is like with steak. How many times do you chew steak before swallowing it? You know, and not choking. Even if the steak is not tender, or especially if the steak is not tender. So red meat was the first thing that I cut out due to those reasons. So here's a tip, because we're still on the topic of tips, right? I'm breastfeeding and my baby has teeth and she begins to clamp down on my nipple. So I have her little skin and I began to clamp down on her skin. And I'm pinching the baby while she's biting my nipple so that she can get signals sent to her brain that this pain is associated with me biting my mom's nipple. So let me not bite it and I will not feel this pain anymore. So it's a psychological thing. Stop. And this is the way that I will discipline my child. But moving forward, things have been passed on from generations to generations to generations, right? And if you think about the generations that we've been taught of, which is slavery, a lot of the ways that we live are products of slavery. The way that we eat, the way that we think, for the most part, our certain way of living, who we worship and praise, was passed down generation of generation of generation. Then the generations that we were taught about were slaves, right? There's more to our history than that. It doesn't stop nor begin at slavery. I'm not going to go on a spiel about how powerful and beautiful our people are, but just know that we are natural creators, we are natural inventors, innovators, powerful, beautiful people, okay? So, just to shift gears a little bit, if I want to bring my baby up a certain way, allow me to do that and support me rather than, people are always going to have their comments, their opinions, but if it's something that I don't agree with, I'm just simply not going to do it. Corporal punishment, I feel like I said enough about that. I'm not going to go too heavy on this topic. I'm not going to beat my child. I don't think there's anything that a child can do that deserves a beating. Like, if the child spills something, you're going to beat them? What? Just allow the child to clean it up. I think that's enough punishment on their own. I'm tired, Mama. What's the matter with the baby? What's the matter with the baby? You like Mommy's shirt? That's your tiny feet. Let's pick another topic. Let's see. This is routine. Routine. From the very beginning, when the baby is born, this is helpful advice for all of the newborn moms, parents of newborns. You want to establish a routine from as early in the womb as possible. just noticing when they're sleeping, when they're awake, and noticing when they're sleeping, when they're awake. And that's pretty much when they're moving. You know, you can detect that from when they're inside your womb. Now, when they're born, one routine that you want to establish is a concept of night and day. And you can do that by exposing them to light for, let's split the 24-hour day in half for 12 hours for a period of time, and establish a sense of night for, you know, the other 12 hours. So the way you want to expose light is by, you know, if it's daytime, opening the curtains, just whatever you do to expose light, turn the light on. In the night, you want to shut the curtains, make it dark as possible. That way you can establish the sense of night and day. Now, it doesn't have to be for 12 hours at a time, but let's say you want to get them on a certain sleeping schedule. After a certain time, and for me, I think it was 8 p.m., lights out. And that's throughout the entire house. You should not have the lights on because you're introducing a concept of night to the baby. And when it's night, you associate that with sleep, and sleep is when it's dark. And opposite, when it's daytime, that's when you wake up, that's when you want to engage in activities with the baby, and you introduce that concept of day in the morning until a certain period in time. It's easier to do in the summer because it's easier to track when the sun is up and going down. It's harder to do in the winter season, in the colder seasons, because it starts to get dark early, and even though it's early, it's dark. So that's something that's kind of hard to adjust. But that is something that you want to implement when you are a new mom to a newborn, new parents to a newborn. Introduce that concept of night and day. Do you have any more to say on routines? Routines are very important, and it helps the baby. Breastfeeding, my favorite. You love it too. Would you breastfeed in public? Do you have anything against breastfeeding in public, or would you prefer that the breastfeeding mom breastfeeds in private, or you know, at least cover yourself while breastfeeding? That topic is always up for discussion, and I know through my experience in breastfeeding is it's a beautiful bond that is so hard to break, right? It's so hard to break. Let's show them all your teeth. Look, she has 8 and like 2 more growing on each side. I think the molars. And the way I calm my baby down, because I think she's still tired. Yeah. Wow. You okay, Mama? No, she's definitely still tired. So one of the ways to soothe your crying baby is by breastfeeding. But it's like, I can't even explain this bond, you know, looking right in her eyes. I satisfy her. She's actually satisfying me as well, because, you know, I'm able to relieve any stress that she was having. It's very comforting to know that I can do that. You have a lot to say, don't you, little mamas? Like, there's a literal tear to her eye. I'm sorry. Hey, baby. So let's go on to the next topic of discussion. And we have random fact. What is a random fact about mom? I love breastfeeding. Is that weird? It's hard to break, but okay. Here's a random fact. Before I think I was pregnant, I asked my cousin, because you just have so many questions when you're pregnant about this new experience that you're about to like go through life's journey in. So I wanted to know. I was familiar with how it felt to suck the boob, you know, get my boob sucked, but I didn't want to experience that with my child. So I was asking, you know, is it the same feeling that you get, you know, when someone's sucking your boob versus breastfeeding? And I'm here to answer that question for you now. It is not, and thank God. And I think one of the reasons it's not is because there's no sexual connection between you and your child, so you don't have that feeling of intimacy that you would get when someone is sucking your boob versus breastfeeding. Now, the way this feels is you do feel like a flow of milk from your breast to their mouth. And the visualization you can get is like if you were like to pour water out of a bottle, like you get that. The flow is not that heavy, but that's a visual that you get. So let's say probably if you squirt this, you know, there's water dripping out of the bottle, kind of like that. So it's more so a trickly feeling that you get. What's the matter? You ready to end it? You ready to end it? Oh my God. So that's a random fact. I like breastfeeding. Oh, we have 2 more topics of discussion to talk about. Pumping. And a random fact about pumping is that I have not started yet. I have 3 breast pumps, all different brands. The one that I'm looking forward to using is the last one that I got, and it's like a smart pump. And I like it because it's small, it's portable, and I haven't used it yet, but I hope that it's one that you can like attach to your waist and stuff. Because the type of mother that I am, I'm very mobile, and I need to, like, I'm multitask, so I need to be able to do more than one thing. So the idea of sitting down and breast pumping is something that I can't wrap my head around, because I can't see myself staying still for a long period of time than making this video. And that's just to be quite frank. But that's something that I will work on doing. Hola. Oh yeah. Someone said that they used to manually pump. My sister manually pumped for a little while, and you actually bring me to a next point, which is a lot of moms feel that they wouldn't be able to breast pump, which was my sister, because her nipples are inverted. And I guess another random fact about moi is that prior to having baby is that my nipples were inverted. But this is so amazing how your body just works. Something about like with supply and demand. Like if your baby needs the milk, excuse me, somebody called. But she's going to suck the milk out of your boob, and then in sucking, you know, she's pulling that nipple out, so your nipple is no longer inverted. I remember sharing with one of my close friends. I was FaceTiming, and then my boob came out. So I'm more free off cam with my boob than I am on cam. I'm more conservative with my boob. Like, I'll still breastfeed, but I won't expose my nipple to you because it's still a level of privacy and intimacy on my part. But yeah, about manually breast pumping. My sister was discouraged to stop breast pumping, or first her son didn't latch, and 2, it was uncomfortable for her to pump manually with inverted nipples. So that was that. But not to discourage you, if your nipples are inverted, trust and believe that your baby will change your body for you so that they can get what it is that they need from you. And that's what happened with me, and I'm so thankful. We have one last topic to discuss. And what is it going to be, Mama? What's it going to be? What's it going to be? Co-sleeping. The reason for Mommy's back problems, other than lack of stretching. So co-sleeping is something that I definitely do. That's something that you don't want to do. And why not? Well, other than reasons that I just mentioned, other than back pain, medical professionals advise you not to sleep with your child for reasons being that you can roll over on them, they can roll over on the floor. Oh, she's tired. Ready to go to sleep again? So those are the reasons why you should not sleep with your baby for extended periods of time. I know advice that I would give new moms is if you are going to co-sleep, because it's just something that happens naturally when you're breastfeeding and, you know, the child falls asleep, you fall asleep with the child, end up co-sleeping. Do that for 3 months max. That's something that I would advise new moms, something that I will do differently with my next child. Because the earlier you get to detach them from you, the easier it will be to stay that way. She's just the sweetest thing. I have my aunt here who's been with us, and my late aunt Pam. Oh, I shouldn't move this too much because the way I have the light set up, it just makes fall. But she's here with us in spirit, and we just want to thank you all. So we have about 5 minutes left, so let's check out. So in checking out, we just want to be sure that anything, you remember at least one thing that we said, one takeaway. And what is the takeaway that I want for you? I think for me, the biggest takeaway would be open to feedback. You know, just because people have advice and tips and suggestions and things to say, opinions, doesn't mean that you necessarily have to listen to them. But if you do listen to them, just know that there's a message in what they're saying, and one way or another, it can either benefit you or it can hurt you. So the decision will always ultimately be yours, but just be open to receiving any type of feedback, any type of suggestions, opinions, any tips or advice. So let's take it away. Take that away. Take that away. Parenting for me is very fun. It's very fun in the sense that I do not have to work. I don't have to work. This is my only job at the moment. And don't get not working twisted with not working. Like, because I do not have a job does not mean that I am not working, because I am working around the clock, okay? I do not work for anyone else other than my baby right now. You liked it better the other way. You didn't want to show your pretty baby face? Can you say bye-bye? Can you say bye-bye? That's my beautiful baby. She's so happy. So our journey thus far has been nothing less than fun. She is getting older. I guess this is a tip. I thought that the older the child gets, the more easier it will be, like, to do things independently. So being that she can crawl and walk and stuff now, I thought she would, like, require less of my attention and time, which I was sadly mistaken. She'll just follow me everywhere I go. So it's a challenge. Not that it's hard, but it's challenging to do things that I need to do. But I'm mastering nonetheless. Knock over these boulders. Get over these obstacles. Right? Bouncy, 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 bouncy. Oh, a tip. I would get the baby bouncer. It helps develop the baby's muscles, get them working these little legs. That's how she started her walking journey. At 3 months, she began bouncing. So she was able to, grip use of how to use her limbs, which I would highly recommend. And it's also something that I use to this day. Like, if I'm in the kitchen cooking, I'll give her something to play with and I'll put her in the baby swing, and she's there entertaining herself. I actually time how long she's in there before she starts, like, calling for my attention. But she'll be in there a very long time. And I just want to thank you all for tuning in with me. Thank you for watching. You want to say anything? Whether you were at home, work, on your lunch break, or running errands, we thank you for stopping in and joining with us. And we hope to see you in the future. We look forward to building a community together. And I am being timed by Instagram that I have 2 minutes remaining, which is probably just perfect timing, right? Because we planned on being on air for an hour anyway. And the hour is up in less than 30 seconds. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you all for watching. That's right. That's so what else? Bye-bye. Yay.